Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Ninja Knight. Make sure you like the video, make sure you share the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you. So today saw the defeat of Manchester United by Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham Hotspur, who have long been considered an absolute joke in the Premier League, insofar as Roy Keane has talked about half-time team talks from Alex Ferguson. They used to consist of, lads, it's only sports. They're a team that are like a tin man. They're a team that are genuinely heartless. They've no soul. But what I seen today from Manchester United was actually that. No heart, no soul whatsoever. Now Patrice Evra talked about saying that he would really like to end his contract with Sky, and he says that he knows that he has to have some filter when he talks on TV. Well, the beauty about YouTube is you don't have to have a filter, and I'm going to tell people exactly what I think. I think today was a fucking disgrace. From every player in that team, it was an absolute and utter disgrace. The match starts off well. Within 40 seconds, United win a penalty. They scored a penalty. Bruno Fernandes, wonderful penalty taken. And you think to yourself, oh, here we go. This could be nice. Minutes later, the club is all over the joint. The players have absolutely no concept of what they're doing, how to defend, or to do the basics that a footballer needs to do, which is chase, tackle, win the ball, look for an option, pass the ball. There's many problems that are within the club. First of all, the club hierarchy in terms of the owners have not backed managers over the last couple of years. They have not given them the money nor the players that they have desired. This has been an occurrence that we've seen since Louis van Gaal has talked about it recently. We've seen that Jose Mourinho talked about it whilst he was at Manchester United and subsequently after when he was at Manchester United. Bear in mind, this is one of the greatest managers in my opinion of all time in Jose Mourinho. If Jose Mourinho is asking you for something in specifics, you give it to him. You do not fucking question a man with the resume and the winner's mentality that that man has. People look back at the fact that he said that the second place with his Manchester United side was probably one of the best achievements that he's ever had. People scoffed at that and laughed at that, and it's taken until fucking now for Gary Neville to realise that he was actually telling the truth. Anybody with half a brain could tell you that Mourinho with that team was absolutely poxed to get to second place that year, because that is one of the worst Manchester United sides I've ever seen. The players that are in the club and that seemingly cannot be ousted for one reason or another is absolutely mind-boggling. Some of the purchases that have been made have clearly not been ran by the manager. How do we know that? Well, Louis van Gaal has talked about that in the past, that he gave a list to the club and the club basically went off and purchased wild individuals, people that he didn't even want. So these are problems that have been mounting and mounting and mounting upon Manchester United. And when you look at the team today, you've David De Gea in goal, who was absolutely crucified last season by Roy Keane in terms of his ability. The man has no ability to pass a ball with his feet. He cannot pick a pass from the goal even when he's unchallenged. He is woeful with penalties. I don't think I've ever seen the fucker save a penalty from Manchester United, and that is where that goalkeeper's at. He doesn't come out and climb the ball. I personally think that Henderson, that's in the number 2 spot, should be in the number 1 spot. And this goes into the fact that I've been talking about this kind of fucking old boys type attitude that's been hanging around the club for the last number of years. Guys that cannot be dropped, guys that won't be put on the bench or put back into the under 23s, or actually sold, better yet. Seems to be this old boys attitude. De Gea should be dropped. No question about it. Luke Shaw, another baffling fucking decision as to how he's still at the club. Been told by countless managers now the guy is overweight. Teams pick him out. He cannot defend. He has absolutely no positional sense and doesn't smell the danger whatsoever. The guy is not a fucking defender. He's very lucky to be a professional footballer, and how he's at Manchester United still baffles me. He wouldn't get a game at fucking Brighton. Now across the back line, you've some of the most inept centre halves I've ever seen. You've Harry Maguire, an 80 million fucking dud, has absolutely no clue what to do. He seems more interested in being an attacking midfielder than he has in actually defending when he's a centre half. That is not what you need. If you want Hardy to move up and be an attacking midfielder, move him the fuck up and get someone that's a centre half that is interested in defending in. Coming again now to Eric Boye today. You cannot ever doubt the fact that the guy tries his best to throw himself in front of balls, but ultimately his positional sense is extremely weak. This is a guy that's been out on the fringes for a long time with injuries, and he's thrown in today against some of the better forwards amongst the league, and he handles it very poorly. Aaron Wan-Bissaka on the right hand side, a top player in my opinion, and probably the best of all of the defenders that are at Manchester United, had another horror show of a game today. Goes down late in the game, tackling a guy in the box. That's not what Wan-Bissaka does. So what is that about? Now, ultimately, when you look at the back line, the only other person that is in and out of that is Victor Lindelof, another guy that badly needs coaching and needs someone that's strong beside him. A decent footballer, but again, weak positionally. A little bit weak defensively, and gets out-strengthened by a lot of bigger centre forwards. So that's when you need to have another centre back that can come in and push that forward out, and that can switch off and make sure that you're going to play along there. That's what United should be looking at. Now, I think over the last couple of years, it's very fucking evident, particularly under the Solskjaer reign, that there's been absolutely no coaching in defending whatsoever. Basic defending, basic positional sense. None of them have it whatsoever. So what is going on at the club? And that falls on the management, I think. You cannot just purchase a defender and suddenly they're going to improve things. Wan-Bissaka is a top defender, but clearly isn't getting the instructions that he should be, or he's not getting tactics, one or the other. You come and look at the midfield. I'm going to start with the best player in the midfield, and that is Bruno Fernandes. He seems to be a guy now that's getting affected by this, throwing the arms up around. You know, he's getting to the stage now where he looks kind of disinterested, and that's not good when you're a couple of games in. That is not good whatsoever. He was hauled off at half time today, and that was absolutely a fucking shocking decision. Because when you're not only chasing the game, but you're trying to leave it with a respectable score, taking the arguably, no, I'm not even going to say arguably, the best player in the team off at that time is a baffling decision. You're moving on then and you're talking about Nemanja Matic in a team of Spurs that are generally a very strong, powerful young side. Why you're not playing Van de Beek is beyond me in that one. You know that Matic isn't going to be able to match them for pace. A top footballer in his time, very good against more lower opposition sides when he's not being overrun. Bad decision. That's down to management. Then you come to everyone's favourite topic, and it's Paul Pogba. A fucking joke if ever I've seen one, and this is something that Patrice can't say on the show. Sauntered around the pitch today, lucky to stay on for the 90 minutes, probably could have been sent off for one or two tackles. An absolute fucking disgrace. You were looking at a player like that is one of the more expensive players in the world, and you're looking for him to pull a team by the scruff of the neck. He's a World Cup winner, which irritates me even more. And this guy is sauntering around, he's hiding behind opposition, he's hiding behind referees, making sure he doesn't receive the ball, and then when he gets the ball, is easily knocked off and dispossessed and waves his arms around, rather than chasing the fucking ball back and taking the ball off somebody. This guy needs to go. Mourinho was 100% right when he said that fella's a virus, because he is. Moving on then, you have the trio then that you have up front. You have your Rashford, you have your Martial, and you have Greenwood. Greenwood gets a bit of a slide for me on the fact that he's a young lad. So, he is going to improve, I would hope, but he has two other fucking frauds with him up front. Marcus Rashford is not a top forward. I don't give a bollocks what anybody says. The guy misses too many chances, he floats in and out of games, not good enough. If you're thinking about a top side around the world, Marcus Rashford would not get into them. He would not get into Madrid, would not get into Bayern Munich. Fucking hell, he wouldn't get into the Chelsea team. He wouldn't get into the Man City team. And that's what I'm talking about, levels. He wouldn't get into a PSG team. And those teams have kicked on. Chelsea have kicked on. City have kicked on. Have spent millions over this window. And United have spent 40 million and look now to be buying in Cavani, or bringing in Cavani, and a guy called Telles. What the fuck is happening? You're bringing a centre forward in that's seeing better days. This is the situation that's at Manchester United. And then you have the other fucking fraud in Martial, a guy who pops up now and again, who was the most lazy centre forward I think I've ever seen, despite being a young athletic guy. And then makes a fucking ridiculous decision today, throwing a slap at Lamela. It's disgraceful. Now, I'm not condoning what Lamela did, but it's an absolute joke that a fella of his size goes down under a slap like that. What the fuck? This is a man's game. What are you at? But this is the current state of Manchester United. Players that do not give a bollocks. They do not care about the shirt. They do not care about the badge whatsoever. And it was harrowing seeing a guy like Patrice Evra sitting in the studio saying that he had to hold back his words. He looked extremely emotional. And I have to say, with a guy like that that feels that passion for Manchester United, it's certainly lacking in in most of the players, I would say, at that club right now. The club is in a shambles from top to bottom. It needs clean house very quickly. And there's fellas there that are in that team, that are in that management squad that need to go. I mean, Michael Carrick is a guy with no fucking personality whatsoever, and you think he's going to be a guy that's going to come in and inject some personality, some enthusiasm into these players. It's not happening. These people need to go. Now, Allegri, to my understanding, is out there. That might be an option. I know Pochettino is a favourite amongst many people. Is that an option? Because at the moment, I think Solskjaer has taken this team as far as he can go. They squeaked and eked into third place last season. Now they're going to go on between today and tomorrow and go, yeah, guys, we got Cavani and Tellez. Well, you're papering over the fucking cracks there because there's major problems that are at the club. Major problems. You've seen Liverpool have already pulled away. You're seeing Man City pulling away. You'll see Chelsea pulling away. Arsenal. All seem to have a plan. All seem to be backing their managers. Fucking Everton have backed their manager. And yet Manchester United are sitting there with the hands out going, we've chased Jadon Sancho for the last 3 months. What is that about? You're the biggest club, or allegedly one of the biggest clubs in the world, and this is the type of shite that fans are dealing with. Fuck off. Look,